Hey everyone, Nick Engvall here. Before we get into today's episode, I want to tell you about some of the people that make the sneaker history community and this podcast possible. It's more important than ever to think about who you give your money to when you're buying clothing to go with your kicks. Our friends at Guilty Goods started their brand with a goal of giving back, especially to the communities that make sneaker culture possible. With every purchase from Guilty Goods, at least 10% of the proceeds are donated to organizations like Big Brothers and Big Sisters, the Susan G. Komen Foundation, the Movement for Black Lives, and many more. You can save 30% on your order by using the code HISTORY at guiltygoods.us. Again, that's history at guiltygoods.us for 30% off, and you can feel good about your purchase knowing you're supporting a meaningful cause. Sneakers are all about presentation, and if you're like me, displaying your kicks at home or in the office is just as important as when they're on your feet. Sneaker Throne makes sneaker display cases featuring customizable LED lights, drop-side cases to showcase the entire side of the shoe, not just the heel or the toe, the whole shoe. They've also got display cases for trading card collectors and hat collectors. To me, it's the perfect way to display your collection. You can save at least 10% on your Sneaker Throne order by using the code HISTORY at sneakerthrone.com. That's history at sneakerthrone.com. If you're a Patreon supporter or a member of our Discord community, you already know about Kicks with V hot sauce and his small batch, locally sourced hot sauce. V has been one of the biggest supporters of sneaker history and the podcast since the early days. He's currently the defending champion in our community trivia nights competition. Kicks with V hot sauce has been a huge hit with the community. You can save 10% on your order by using the code SneakerHistory10 at kickswithvhots.com. That's SneakerHistory10 at kickswithvhots.com. Now, you're probably here because you like sneakers, and if you join the Discord, you know our community is about so much more than that. Whether it's the marathon-like community calls, trivia night debates, the in-person meetups, or just sharing our favorite experiences, we found that although we have such different backgrounds, we all have some unexpected shared passions. Not only does the entire community look out for each other when it comes to releases, we're like a support group for life in general. You can join the Discord community for free by heading to the show notes of this episode. After you're done listening to this episode, tell someone you like their kicks today. You never know how far a simple compliment can take you, and we all know how good it feels to have someone show their appreciation. Now let's get into today's episode.
Jordan trying to shake off Starks. Oh, what a LeBron James with no regard for human life. Final seconds. Bryant for the win. Iverson against Gill, the crowd on its feet. Allen for the win.
Welcome to the Sneaker History Podcast.
What up, what up? Welcome to the Sneaker History Podcast. My name is Nick Engvall. Today, I've got a special episode for you. Get to talk to one of my good friends who just happened to release his own sneaker wipes recently. So you all probably know him. If you don't, you're going to get a good introduction to him today. Jacques Slade, a.k.a. Kustoo, is with me. How you doing, man? Good to see you.
Good to see you too, man. Thank you for having me on the show. I haven't been on the Sneaker History Podcast in a long time. I'm back. It's either like a rash or like lottery winnings. I don't know. We'll find out, I guess, as the show goes on, but I'm back.
Yeah, well, it's so the people that have been following me for a long time know you obviously from Outside the Box, even further back Outside the Box with Brando.
Yeah,
2015, something like that, I think. So
yeah,
we got a long history there. But then we did the version with Tiffany Beers for a year or so. We should actually do like a catch up episode between the three of us. That would be fun.
Yeah, I'm sure Tiffany would love to hop on. She's been doing a lot lately, so
a lot of cool stuff. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. But yeah, and then you've been on Sneaker History, but you also were a part of our Sneaker Combos thing that we did a year ago or so. So people should be familiar with you. Not to mention you have, I don't know, 1 point whatever million followers, and you're basically everybody's favorite sneaker YouTuber. So
it's very kind.
I don't really need to do any more introducing you. You've pretty much set the standard for everybody that's watching or listening to this. So
well, thank you. I appreciate those kind words, Nick. Even though we are friends, I still appreciate it.
So I'm gonna start you off with a really tough question because it came up on social media in the last week or so. For me, somebody asked, if you were a, let's say, young adult, as us, I would affectionately call us old men at this point, but if you were a young adult or a young Padawan, would you suggest people start a sneaker YouTube channel?
Absolutely. Oh, without question, do it. And the reason I say that is because there's so many different perspectives in the world, and the world of sneakers is constantly evolving, and the conversation around sneakers and the way that sneakers are interpreted is always changing. So I 100%, if you want to start, get on and give it your voice. Like that's how I got into it. Like I wanted to see something different. So if you feel you can bring something different to the conversation, do it. And you see it now. Like guys like Roscoe and I can't think of the other guy's name on YouTube. They do like live drops. Like no one from my era of YouTube was doing that. And so they're bringing that sort of live Twitch style energy to the world of sneakers and interacting with people in real time. So like you see it constantly evolving and changing. Yes, there are some like standards and people that are always kind of going to be there, like Chris and Foamer and Tony and Kais and myself and all the guys in that circle. Seth, like we're all in that circle of people that have been here for a while and will continue to be here. But the conversation is definitely changing.
That's a good point too. Like I think the Twitch conversation is another thing that I didn't really think about, but we could talk a little bit more about that. You know, the live stream, the live cop thing is really fascinating to me. I've watched probably a dozen or so different people do that. And I mean, I'd be lying if I didn't say part of it is just me trying to figure out how people actually cop things nowadays. But because I can't, like, even with the Kobe's, I like had early access and they were gone before I even like could. I mean, I was literally on the app, saw it pop up, early access. Like, yeah, story for another day, I guess. But the live stream part of it is really interesting because I mean, like I've gone back and forth and worked on various projects throughout my career, and my own personal stuff, sneaker history or otherwise, has always kind of been like on the back burner, right? And it's funny because like me being a car guy, anybody that's worked as a car, like on cars of any kind, doing stereos or mechanical work or anything, the car world, if you work on cars all day, you really know if somebody is great at what they do if their own car is a constant work in progress that never is finished, because they're always working on other people's stuff. So I feel like I'm kind of in that same boat in the sneaker content game, aside from the podcast, which we've really focused on, over the last couple of years to just continue to be consistent with it and grow and that kind of thing. But with Twitch, we started streaming like community stuff a couple of months back, and it's done really well. It's a really interesting way to like kind of just have live conversations, which I think part of that is the pandemic, and we're all just kind of craving those kind of experiences. So for those people that may not live in LA or someplace like that where they can go out and see sneakers and be around other people that are into sneakers and talk to people about it. It's a cool way for people to feel connected to it. And like, our friend Mitch works for Twitch, has been there for a little while and now, and that's been his world for a long time. The live stream stuff has been his world for years. And I am constantly kind of like watching the evolution of that, because oddly enough, I feel like, I 100% agree with you as like, just go for it. If you have an opinion, even if you don't really have an opinion, if you just love sneakers enough, you'll find people that love sneakers in the same way. And you'll find people that love the nuanced things that you do, or things that you didn't ever see about some specific pair. And then that sparks a whole relationship. But it's really interesting with Twitch. We haven't seen like a lot of crossover from the YouTube sneaker community that a lot of other places have been pushing for, and I don't know why that is. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, I think the live streaming aspect of things. I was talking to someone from Twitch about this, and like when we think of traditional television, when we think of live, there's only a couple of instances where live works. That's like award shows and sporting events, or like like a live auction or something like that. Outside of that, you don't really see live events happening on traditional television. And my thinking is there must be a reason for that. Like as long as traditional television has been around, there hasn't been live events outside of those two things really. Every once in a while you have a special, a live taping special or something like that, but you won't have a live event. So when I think about Twitch, I see it through those two lenses. So for sporting events, that's the gaming. It's not obviously a game on a field or on a course or anything, but it's one person playing a game. So there's the sport aspect of it. You have the person commentating, and as they go through, and you're watching what's going on screen. So that's like the live event side of that, and like that's really I think what Twitch was born out of. So it has that sort of feel. But with sneakers is not really built for that. I don't think it's really built for that. I think of sneakers, and the way we tell stories around sneakers is the same way you would look at a nonfiction television show or like a sitcom or something like that. There's this dialogue that happens of talking about it, and that it to me it doesn't give the same energy that you get during a live broadcast, which is why the live cops work, because it's in a sense it's a game of chance. So there's a gaming aspect to it there for the live cop. So I think just doing traditional like unboxings or talking about a sneaker live, if maybe it's like, mystery sneaker unboxing, so there's some sort of gamification to it, but you can't just do, if hey, I have the new Jordan 1 something, there's not really a lot of value to you watching me fumble through an unboxing and talking about this shoe, as opposed to me doing a tightly edited way of that story for you to see. So I think that's really what the difference is. I could be proven wrong, and like, there could be an avenue for that sort of style event happening, but I just don't see the window for it.
It is interesting the unboxing experience, I guess, is the best way to put it. And maybe this is just me being way too deep in sneakers. The unboxing experience for me on like normal pairs, let's say, it's always weird when I see people create a thumbnail that shows the shoe, because I feel like unboxing something by nature, like I'm really tuning in to see the unveiling and like your reaction.
Yeah.
So I almost don't want to see the shoe ahead of time. And I think, you've probably played with that with your thumbnails throughout the years, trying different things. Because I think, YouTube determines all of this stuff so differently at every different point along the way as their algorithm changes. But the things that pop into my mind are some of like the crazy unboxings you've been able to do that are like, the package is just so over the top.
Yeah.
That like, even if you told me the shoe that was inside, I want to know what else is there with it, because clearly the box is, an entire ice chest or, a suitcase or something. So like that part of it is kind of fascinating to me too, because Twitch doesn't really play in that space either, right? In terms of like thumbnails or any of that stuff. And it seems like a lot of YouTubers lately have been doing a lot more live streaming and trying the live streaming stuff at least. And I think the live cop thing is fascinating. It's not something I could imagine spending hours of my day watching somebody with that, but like at the same time, like you and I could casually have a 3-hour conversation almost any day of the week. Right. So like, if you were to have enough of the interaction there with people, I think there's like still a lot for sneakers specifically to grow into in terms of the content, the video content that's going to be out there.
Yeah, the live thing is fascinating, and I definitely want to dig into it more, because I think there are fantastic opportunities there and new ways to kind of bring value to the audience there. I just haven't figured them out yet. Like, is it a like a live with Regis and Kelly sort of thing? Kind of feel that you bring to the live world, you know what I mean? Like like, is it Good Morning America? Like that. Like the news is live. Like, how do you bring that energy and still keep it entertaining for your audience? And really, I guess a part of that is also like looking at what's the definition of entertaining for your audience. For us, we grew up in an era where silence is bad when you're on television. But with live streaming and this generation, there's silence there, and it's fine. It's like, people will sit there and watch, and I'm like, oh, looking something up online, like, what is that? Oh, it's this, and this. Whereas for me, that 3 seconds there, I'm like, oh my god, like I can't let that go. So you got to kind of, so it's almost thinking about what's entertainment, what's the expectation, how clean, how dirty, like all of those things kind of go into the equation of the live thing now. And I do think I'm probably overthinking it, and with my hesitation, but I think the opportunity's there. We just got to figure it out the right way.
Another interesting thing that you kind of are alluding to is the rawness of a lot of the content that people watch now. Is just different than the way it was, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago. I was thinking about, some of the stuff that we've worked on throughout the years, and like, working on stuff at Complex, with Russ and Clark, and like that whole full production prior to Complex even being on YouTube was it was so crazy trying to get product, right? Because the whole point of Quick Strike was to show things as they released, but you can't always get the product to show, so you either need to like edit that together in kind of the way that you would do, one of your videos, or like you said, it's like the news thing doesn't really work, because if you don't have the physical product, or if you're going to cut to the B-roll anyway, then you might as well edit this stuff and make it as condensed and as clean as possible, because it's easier to consume for a lot of people. But at the same time, it's almost like people want to see, and like YouTube, I mean, TikTok is probably the most, obvious example of that at this point, right? You could literally do, something that like you and I would never feel comfortable just throwing on a social channel 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Go on to TikTok, and as long as it's under 10 seconds and has some trendy audio on it, like there's a good possibility it's going to get thousands of views for little amount of effort. But I wonder, like, too, like where that, one thing that we've probably talked about this before, maybe not publicly, but I always wonder who's going to take like sneakers to like the next level of production, right? You do it occasionally with your stuff, like I remember when you first started doing those B-roll shots, and I was like texting you like, yo, this is where it's at. Because to me, like, I'm watching video creators, like a Peter McKinnon, or somebody that's like very, very skilled with the camera and the lighting and all of the things, or Daniel Schiffer and his like, B-roll stuff. It's like these guys shoot amazing stuff, and there are a handful of people that have tried sneaker things, but it's usually like a one-off. I'm sort of into sneakers, but I got to do this other stuff to pay the bills. And I'm wondering, like, at what point does somebody step in and say, okay, let's just, like, everything we're going to release is going to be a 9 or a 10 quality or better. And we're going to have, because shout out to Foamer and Buckets, like those guys have been doing a really great job with their B-roll, and there's a lot of I'm not saying that other people don't, but like it's noticeable when people are like elevating their camera skills outside of their sneaker collection. That's what I think is really impressive with sneakers. And I feel like we're getting to the point where we're gonna start seeing some really crazy stuff, where we're like, you did that for a $100 pair of shoes that's already gone and sold out. So.
And that's part of the challenge, right? You wanna create these beautiful narratives around something, like with the B-roll and the storytelling, but sneakers pass so fast in the wind that it's hard to do anything that's gonna stick unless you get stuff super early. Like it's challenging to want to tell that deep or to think that deeply about, okay, what story am I telling with this shot? So you see, like, Fomer is a great example of like the way that they shoot. Him and Buckets do great job with the B-roll and like mixing it up. I think Chris is getting there. Chris is pushing that envelope a lot more with the way that he shoots his B-roll and the way he tells his story. Minsu Choi, who doesn't post very often, was incredible at shooting B-roll and telling that longer story. But I think he came up against that, a little bit what you alluded to is like, I can tell these great stories, but I also have to work a regular job. And it's not going to click because this story's already been told 1,000 times, even if mine stands out because it's shot more, with a different style. It's like they've already heard this story 1,000 times. Like it's great. Like if you see, it's almost like a movie comes out of Michael Jordan in Michael Jordan's flu game comes out. Like, but leading up to that game, you've seen all the BTS, you've seen all the leaks, you've seen it on Instagram, you've seen it on Twitter, you've seen somebody else do like a remaking of the movie, or all of these things before the movie comes out. So like when the movie does come out, you're kind of like, I mean, I've kind of already seen this. Like I don't.
Yeah,
I've kind of seen this already. Why do I need to go spend time to see like this quality version of it that's probably going to tell I shouldn't say tell the story better, but tell the story in a way that I haven't seen before when I've seen the story 1,000 times. So it's like, I mean, I've seen it.
Yeah, I mean, unless you have a pandemic and everybody's sitting at home waiting to watch the
Yeah,
last
yeah,
dance,
yeah.
It's funny because like that, I love those types of documentaries. The 30 for 30s, like, I probably spend more time watching documentaries on every, Netflix, HBO, whatever platform.
Yeah.
Mainly because, like, it's a part of how I tell stories. I very much want to go from, like, the beginning to the end of a product line with sneakers or, stores. Like, there's so many different stories that go along with it, but I'm constantly trying to like resurface the nostalgia in a way that's new, but at the same time have my own connection to it. Like I don't want to try to tell the story of something that I have that I have no experience with or no knowledge about. If I was going to do that, I think it's better for me to connect with the people that have that story and get the story from them, right? You want the closest person on the ground for those stories.
Yeah.
And it's really interesting because like the sneaker stories that are being extracted from, I don't know what you call it, just the game right now, seem to be very just very like, almost formulaic in a sense, right? Like it's like, because we're all in this quick cycle turnover. But even when something like The Last Dance comes around, like you could see like, so many people were into it. And obviously Jordan and the Bulls are like, the peak of it. But like we could sit here and name off 20 or 30, at least very close to that level of relevancy or passion, Tiger Woods, like that's an easy one. Like how is this not like, and I get that like some of these things have happened and will happen again and repeated. And we're seeing, Ben Affleck and Matt Damon going to do the Sonny Vaccaro and Michael Jordan origin story, which, I think it's going to be fascinating to see sneakers on the big screen. Like we really haven't seen that. And, we've seen it in bits and pieces. We've seen it in very like sneakerhead driven kind of stories where it's like, okay, well, there's enough people that are sneakerheads now that this could work and be successful financially for a company to try it. So hence we get the sneakerhead show. I can't remember what it's called on Netflix or whatever a few years back, but taking that to a full-fledged production film is, like
Yeah.
you've been involved in that stuff. It is
Yeah, it's
crazy.
different. It's different. Yeah, it'll be fun though. Like I'm actually excited about it because like for us, I think there's parts of the story like we know the story, but we don't know the story.
Yeah.
There's parts of it that we don't know, and this will be obviously a dramatized version of that,
Yep.
and like that's always interesting, and it's going to ruffle feathers. So like that portion of it, you're like, okay, I want to see how this comes out and how this story is told, because it's going to be it's an interesting story. Like you'll see like a bit of the underbelly of the world of sneakers, and like you don't really hear about that. The things that people got away with back in the day that they won't get away that they can't get away with now, like all of that sort of thing, all of those sort of things are coming to light, and I think that's super duper interesting.
Yeah, me too. I think that, it's I think that even as somebody who has probably heard the story, read the story a dozen times over in various forms, the thing that I always kind of come back to when new stories or the same stories are presented by new people is that you and I have been on the media side, air quoting for people listening, the media
Yeah,
side
yeah.
of the sneaker world, off and on, depending on what we're doing, right? And there's a very like fine line as to like how much and what information you're given as like a public media figure
Mm-hmm.
versus like what you can have a casual conversation with a friend about off the record. And
Yep.
because of that, I think that the dynamic that's created through the brands and through the people that work at the brands and all of that, the all of things that come together to around these stories, to me, means that every story can be told thousands of times if the
Mm.
right people get involved, because you'll find people
Yep.
that are just passionately curious about it and need to know who
Yeah.
Sonny Vaccaro was, like, and to your point, like we're in the other layer to it that I'm really looking forward to. We're in this new era of college athletes getting paid, and he was a
Yep.
big part of making that happen.
Yep.
And we're going to see how all of that started, presumably, and it's going to be interesting because, like, he's from my little knowledge, never met him, never talked to him, but from my exposure to him, reading about him, and that kind of stuff, he was pretty cutthroat. Like he was a hustler. That's how he got these deals
Yeah.
done back in the day. That's how he got Michael to be on his side wherever he wanted to go. Michael would go with him, and same thing with Kobe, same thing with LeBron. Like he
Yeah.
was involved in all of these big name players, high school or even prior. And to me, that's like just such an interesting. We're just going to start
Yeah.
seeing all sorts of stuff. Like you said, there's a lot of drama, and it's going to be dramatized even more. I'm really really curious as to how it will come out and who's going to be in it.
Yeah.
Like
Who's going to be in it? Yeah. And the funny thing about this though, like when I think about this, it's not the story of Sonny getting Michael to sign with Nike is not going to be the most interesting part about that movie.
yeah,
It's going to be I think a couple of things. One, the journey that Sonny goes through, uh, and the journey that Michael goes through. Like because with every movie the characters have to change in the movie. We won't accept a movie if the character doesn't go through some sort of journey and changes. And I think there's going to be some point where we find out something that was going on with Sonny, and the win of getting Michael Jordan was great, but there's something else personally that made it more rewarding for him. The same thing with Michael. Whether it's Michael's relationship with his dad, or Michael's relationship with his mom, and his mom forcing him to get to it, or Michael seeing the relationship with his mom and his dad, with his dad being the gambler, and all of those things, like those parts of the story are really what's going to make the movie interesting. We all know that Sonny got Michael to sign with Nike, and we all know that part of the story, but that's not what's going to be the most interesting part for us. It's that human journey that Michael takes, that Sonny takes, and maybe even that Phil takes. That's really going to make that. That's going to make that movie the most interesting to us. Even if those journeys are fabricated, those will be the things that I think connect us the most to that movie.
Yeah, totally agree. Looking forward to that one for sure.
Yeah, same.
Okay, so I gotta shift gears a little bit. What's up with golf sneakers, man? Like, I mean,
that's a multi-layered question.
they're just everywhere now, and they're selling out. People are paying big money for them, and
yeah,
it's just crazy.
Yeah, it's got some great energy around it. I'm actually happy with the way that it's going, but I think they should be pushing it further. Golf went through obviously a boom in pandemic because that's the only thing that people could do outside, and so a lot of people got into the game, sneakerheads and otherwise. And I think the personality of people started to show a little bit, and that's why the retros are doing so well, because people want to wear their J's, people want to wear their Stan Smiths, they want to wear their shell toes on the course. They don't want to have to wear traditional looking golf shoes, whether that's the hard bottoms or the almost nondescript other versions of golf shoes that are out there. People don't want to do that. People want to be a little more of who they are off the course, on the course. Just like basketball players do the same thing with their shoes on the court versus off the court. They still want to express their personalities. And I think you're seeing a lot more of that, and that's why the shoes are selling out. But I do think brands could be going further and pushing that envelope a lot more. And I think they're just hesitant. They're scared almost. It's like, is this really, like, we get it, okay, cool, they're selling out, but is this really the energy there? Like, are we really making things happen like this? So I think the opportunity is there. It's just and it's growing. And even I think on the custom side, starting to see the integration of the world of sneakers with the world of golf in ways that people hadn't imagined before, I think is going to make things really interesting in like the next 6 months to a year. And hopefully like the apparel providers are like, they're looking at it that way as well. I think there's opportunities to bring other voices into golf to help kickstart the space in a way that it hasn't been in a very long time.
It's been interesting to see, I'm sure you're familiar with Mario Restores, who's a friend of mine, been on the podcast before, big, like, huge part of the sneaker history community in the Discord and stuff. He's kind of our community motivator. You do a good job of that on Twitter, which is one of the reasons why I love following you on Twitter, because there's always the morning kind of start your day, good energy, good vibes, and he does that same thing in our Discord. So, but he's really, like, his custom business has blown up because of golf. Like, he's done a few things here and there for a friend or for a customer, and then like it just spiraled into so much more opportunity. And it's cool to see that shift of like, I want to wear something cool on the course, because like I mean, I love golf. I haven't played in years. I played I was on my high school golf team. Like, I played pretty seriously when I was younger, and I'm looking at revisiting all of that too, like with like my grandfather passing. Like, he's the one that taught me the game, and like there's a lot of stuff wrapped up in that for me, which is not for this episode, but maybe another. But like, the one thing that I keep coming back to is like it's, this sounds bad, but like, I mean it in a different way than it's going to come out, but like, it's very surface level in the connection between sneakers and golf right now. And like, to me, it's like, it's missing the stories, it's missing the layers, it's missing the apparel, like you mentioned, like, it's missing the experiences, and like the, there's like one-off things done. And I think I feel that because I feel the same thing you said about the brands being hesitant to jump into it, because they've probably tried it before and failed many times, right? Like, golf has always been like an elusive thing for a lot of the traditional sneaker sportswear brands, right? Like, they've all went and bought another company to be a part of it, rather than like,
Yeah.
you know, and I guess I would relate that to like, for sneakerheads listening or watching, the easiest way to understand that is, look, nobody in the skateboarding world originally wanted Nike or Nike SB involved in skateboarding. I mean, I got rid of most of my Nikes at that point. Like, I was just like, F this, I'm out of here. Like, if they're going to come in and ruin this sport. But that's also like the thought process for a lot of brands looking at a Nike, an Adidas, you know, the Pumas, the, you know, the big companies that are out there that, you know, they're involved, right? Like, they sponsor athletes and they make shoes here and there. But like, if you look at like a golf catalog, it's probably, you know, 8 to 10 pages. If you look at even the New Balance basketball catalog is probably 20 something pages because they've got all the different pieces to it. I think that's something that's really interesting because we haven't really seen anybody like, one, we've seen brands like we talked about just recently, you know, Eastside Golf and the Jordan 4. Like, that was like the you know, that was the funnel. That was the connection that Nike could bring those things together through that partnership, or Jordan, I guess, bring that together through that partnership. But then it seemed to fizzle, you know, like it was like, well, follow up, keep the energy going, because, you know, like there's going to be, I mean, you know, there's tons of people playing golf now that were not playing golf 2 years ago. And the pandemic has, you know, might not be completely over, but has definitely, you know, become less of a concern for a lot of these people, and they're still going out there to play golf because it's a great sport. Playing. It's a great way to escape like everything in life for a couple hours or a few hours. And I'm just wondering like what brands are going to end up doing that, because I just feel like the obvious answer is always Nike and Jordan. They got the biggest pile of money, and they can always do the coolest stuff because they've got the coolest stories and usually the coolest people. But I still feel like we're missing that, like, I don't know, this is not the right example maybe, but like we're missing that like Undefeated or Kith of the golf world that says this is how we live 24/7, and sneakers are going to be a part of it. And we have this like whole mantra and whole vibe that we carry as Undefeated, let's say, or you know, Huff with skateboarding, right? Like those brands gave, I think, the bigger brands a more powerful voice, but also they empowered those smaller brands to like elevate themselves within all these different aspects of culture.
I think we're kind of seeing that a little, like the very slight beginnings of it. Like, you know how they always talk about like the time of the universe, and if you think about how long the universe has been around and then how long we've been around, like that's where we are right now. So you have guys like Malbon Golf that are in that space. You have Eastside Golf. You have Trap Golf that's really kind of stepping into that space as well. You have Bogey Boys, which is Macklemore's line. And there's a couple of things out there, but they're all like, they haven't made it. They're small. You know what I mean? Malbon Golf is probably the biggest of all of those. And they've been kind of doing it with Adidas and like stepping into that world. But I think that the company that's best positioned to do it, I think, is Jordan. And again, it's not because of the money, though. I don't think it's because of the money. It's because I think that the Jumpman logo has surpassed basketball. Like, the Jumpman logo isn't basketball anymore. Jordan is not basketball anymore. I think that Jumpman logo symbolizes just excellence in a sense, or doing your best, or trying to do your best, or being one of the best of, like, just that's what that Jumpman logo sort of represents now. And I think they're uniquely positioned to create product in a way that speaks to each individual sport. Like, you see Jordan in motorsports, you see Jordan doing the fishing when he goes during the summer when he goes to North Carolina and does the fishing thing. He obviously knows that he plays golf. You see Jordan in boxing, Jordan in football. Like Jordan's been a part of football for a long time now. It feels like almost as long as basketball. Like Jordan's been a part of football in one way or another. And so I think Jordan, I shouldn't even say Nike. I say Jordan is probably most uniquely positioned just because of what that represents. Nike's is so it's just abstract, but Jordan kind of represents that person. So like Jordan is like undefeated, where it's like undefeated is a store, but it's also so much bigger than that. Kith is Ronnie, but it's also so much kind of bigger than that. And I feel like Jordan it's basketball and it's Michael Jordan, but to every people in other sports, whether you're a gymnast or you're a lacrosse player, Jordan represents like the best of and excellence for you. So I think they have a lane there. And I think brands have to be okay with experimenting, which is hard in golf. Like golf is so traditional. And so they have the opportunity, like these brands have to step outside and link with these small guys. It's cool. Do stuff with Malbon, do stuff with East Side Golf, do stuff with Trap Golf. And really like do a collection, open up your product to them, and I think you'll see the fervor and the energy that's around golf, and show you what you can do. Like Nike actually, I'm rambling here, but Nike actually kind of did the Nike Golf Club. This was maybe 5 years ago. They had like the Nike Golf Club where they made like street style product for their golf line. And it just died. Like they had that one great season, and that was it. And it was like, yo, like this was good. This is good energy. Like what y'all doing? Like bring it back. Now would be the perfect time for that.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like we're on the verge of that, right? Like it's only a matter of time before we start seeing. I mean, we kind of saw it, right? Like we saw like even just like on a very like celebrity level, like Schoolboy Q and all the stuff he was doing, right? And I think like he brought that like edginess and the apparel that he's wearing. It's like it can be street, it can be on the course, it's kind of in between. And I think like that was like exciting for me to see, like, okay, cool, like let's make it look different, because like that's my biggest issue with the sport, right? Like me, like I want to wear my Giants hat and a hoodie, and like that's in a lot of places in the golf world that's unacceptable, and it's like
Yep. I played in a tournament yesterday at this club in Tarzana for the Netflix is a joke. They had a golf tournament, like a celebrity golf tournament, and the the email came like the day before the event, and it was like men, actually I shouldn't even say men, it's gentlemen, should wear tailored golf pants, a collared shirt, and your hat must be to the front at all times. Then you take your hat off in the clubhouse, and ladies are to wear like skirts or pleated skirts or tailored golf pants, and couldn't wear like certain shirts or something like that. And I was just like, yo, I'm definitely breaking all these rules tomorrow. Like when I go, like there's no way I'm wearing, I don't even know what tailored golf pants are. Like, what is that? So but it's like that. Yeah, like that energy has to go. And like I get you want to keep their country clubs looking a certain way, but I think that's all BS. That's it's gonna have to go out of the window, because the new generation is not all into that. Like we're not. I don't tailored golf pants. Where do you buy tailored golf pants? I don't even.
I mean, and you could look at like, this is a terrible analogy of like the street version of golf, because clearly the street version of golf is mini golf, putt, right? Like. But like Top Shot, right? Like Top Shot Golf, right? Like that's like where the biggest consumer base is going to be, right? It's expensive to go play 9 or 18 holes for most people. So if you can go spend $20 and just have an hour or two hanging out with friends at a Top Shot, like that's going to be it's not golf in the traditional sense, but like that's the sport. That's the evolution of the sport, in my opinion. That's going to bring. If somebody spends enough time at the driving range, they can become a great golfer. Like they don't even have to play a traditional course to become a great golfer if they just practice. Like that's the thing that I think is missing.
They practice
from golf,
and get it right.
Like this, where's the like the connection between like the pro level stuff and like the uppityness of the sport and like the bulk of consumers who want to play the sport and are inevitably going to spend the money on all the products, right? Because, you know, the people that are buying golf clubs on a regular basis or buying, you know, gloves or shoes or whatever, they're not going and playing, you know, these like very hardline ruled courses very often. They're going to like the public 9, you know, the par 3 courses so they can just get around in when they got time and you know, like just to be out there doing it. So
100%.
Yeah, man, it's really interesting. So before we get to talk about your sneaker wipes, I got to ask about Formula 1 and Drive to Survive because people probably don't know this about
you. Daddy.
But I have
go
insider knowledge
Verstappen.
that you're committed to Drive to Survive and you're becoming a Formula 1 fan. So how's the journey going?
Yes, I am. It's great. I don't know what the hell's going on with Mercedes in this season. So watching Drive to Survive, it's like it's good and it's bad. So like you get wrapped up in like the storytelling and the drama of it. But you kind of start to like certain drivers. But Drive to Survive is a season behind. So like I almost like so when I watched the first couple seasons of Drive to Survive and I didn't watch any F1 because I realized that it was a season behind. So like if I watched the current season, I feel like it was going to ruin Drive to Survive for me. So I finally gave in this year, and it's just like I don't know what the hell's going on with Mercedes. Like what did you do to the car? Like although like Russell's doing fine. Like he's doing great. Hamilton, I don't know what he's got the yips. I don't know what it is, but he just doesn't have it. But you know, Red Bull's obviously doing incredibly well. Ferrari, Leclerc is like, it's like, dude, like what is going on? And so like I'm struggling with it because like I'll watch like a qualifying round and I'll watch a race, but then I'm like, damn, did this just ruin F1 season for me? And like, when this race comes up in Drive to Survive, am I gonna just be like, damn it, I already know what's happening. Like I already know. So like that's the battle that's in my head right now. Like I want to watch and I'm watching every once in a while. Like I'll catch it. Like I'm going to obviously watch Miami, but like it just, part of it is just like, oh, I don't want to watch because I don't want to mess up the show. But like also I'm realizing I don't know what's going on in the back. I don't know what's going on in the background. And I also realize I don't know his name, how much I really don't like the announcer. Like I loved him during Drive to Survive, but now that I'm watching live races and he's hollering DRS for 30 minutes in a row because they're not authorizing it for him, I'm like, dude, shut up. This like they're not gonna do it, but he's like DRS. Oh, anyway, that was probably very mean. But like I realized like the dynamics of what F1 Drive to Survive was giving me versus what I get seeing it live. Like it's so much more live. There's so much more to absorb versus the show, and it's just like, I feel like I realize what I'm rambling now, but I'll tell you how much I'm into it now. I feel like I realize how much I'm missing during the show that you get during the season. There's all this like nuance that you miss during the season, but then when the show comes on, like obviously they skip a lot of that stuff because they have to tell these succinct stories and all this time. So it's a lot, and I'm struggling with it right now. On my fandom, whether I'm a fan of the show or I'm just a fan of the sport. And like it's hard to be a fan of the sport and to be a fan of the show at the same time because it just they're two totally, even though it's the same thing, it's two different things. So that's my F1 story.
I mean, that's spot on, right? Like we you know, on the other podcast, Exhaust Notes, which we'll have to get you on there at some point to talk because we could get into some of those details. It's very much a different world. Like, you know, Drive to Survive is the Netflix version of Formula One, right? And it's great. It's incredible. Like I love seeing all the behind the scenes stuff and all of the things.
It's beautiful. Oh my God, they
And the
shoot
way
it
that it's
so
shot
well.
is
It's
amazing.
shot
Yes, like
so
it's just
well.
there's so much. And then
Yeah.
like the racing, as a longtime fan, it's like this is one of the best years in recent years because there's like a general like there's actual question as to who's going to win this year. Where in the last few years it's been like,
Yeah.
okay, like we know it's going to be one of two guys or one of three guys, and it's been like that for a solid
Yeah.
10 years. Even beyond that, we knew kind of it was very much like dominated by a couple of teams. And like I'm just like I love that it's bringing new fans into the sport, right? And the reason why I brought it up
Yeah.
too is because I feel like golf could do a very similar thing and like bring people into the sport in that sense, right? Like it's missing that. But also like the thing about it, like with Drive to Survive, is like you get to see the guys outside of the car, so you get to see their realities, and they're like riding scooters
Yeah.
around the paddock, or what cars they showed up in, and like those kind of like normal things make it that much more relatable as a fan to like these guys. Like you get to see them playing soccer, wrestling around with other dudes, and like fighting and stuff, and like all the stuff that shows up is the stuff that
Yeah.
you don't get to see with
So-
sports in general, right?
So spoiler alert, golf is doing one.
Oh, okay.
The PGA, yeah. So the PGA Tour is doing
Nice.
one. They're shooting it this season. It's going to show up next year. Working with the same producers, everything for the F1. So it's gonna
Nice,
be,
nice.
it's coming out.
That'll be great.
Yeah,
I
it's
didn't
coming out.
realize that.
Yeah. I knew about it a while ago, but they put out a press release a few months ago about it, and then oddly enough, yesterday at the Netflix thing, one of the guys there actually worked on it, and he was like, yeah, we're shooting it, and like we're following people around, and like they were at Masters, and they were at all of
Nice.
these events, so it's gonna be. I'm super excited.
They
see
need
how
to
that
get you
comes
on there
out.
for a cameo. Talk some sneakers,
They don't want me on there. They don't want me on there. They don't want me on there. I'm I'm the wild card. They don't want me on the show.
I'm sure that they would benefit from you being a part of it, man.
Yeah, it would be fun. It would be fun. One of the, maybe something will happen. We'll see.
All right, so now we got to talk about got the
Yeah,
box right
daddy.
here. The New Republic Jacques Slade sneaker wet wipes.
Bam, bam, bam. Yes. This was a cool thing. This so this happened because I hopped in New Republic's DMs, like a thought, and was just like, hey boo, I got some ideas, and they actually responded, and so that kind of started the relationship there. I was actually I bought some of their wipes just to use them, and just literally jumped in their DMs and was like, hey guys, I have ideas. And it was like, well, what's your idea? And then I gave him the idea, and it was like, oh, we're gonna call you. Let's see if we can do that. And we've been working on them I sent that DM in July, and we got started pretty quickly. But the pandemic slowed everything down. Like this was probably supposed to come out like 4 months ago.
Wow.
Yeah, so we started in July. By like August, September, I'll say September, like we already had samples. We were kind of going through samples of like the scents and everything, and finding out like what's the consistency of the wipes, what's like the actual smell of the wipes. We did that like 3 or 4 times, got the packaging where we wanted the packaging to go, and then it was just like delay after delay after delay. It's like, oh, they're coming, oh, they're stuck in China, oh, we got to do this, oh, we got to do that. And then finally, like we had a false start probably about a month ago. We had a false start for them, and it was like everything's stuck on the dock. Like we can't even get them off the dock yet. Like they're just sitting on the dock, So that pushed things back, and then finally we were able to release them, and it's been great. Like the response has been super cool. People have been speaking of racing. I sent a box to Samantha Tan. She's a race car driver, and I saw her at a dinner last night. And she was like, yo, I actually put dryer sheets into like my racing shoes. And I was like, oh, for real? She was like, yeah. She was like, you're spot on. So it was cool. And for those that don't know, I probably should have told that part too. The wipes smell like fabric softeners, which are basically dryer sheets. For those that don't know, your dryer sheets are just fabric softeners and paper.
Yeah, they smell phenomenal. They smell really good.
Yeah.
They do,
Yeah,
you guys
yeah.
do a
And so
great
like
job
you,
with it.
thank you. And so we usually used, as you stuff the dryer sheets in your shoes if you have funky feet, to kind of help soak up some of that funk that you have in your shoes. And so we figured it made sense to make like that fabric softener scent on the shoes. This also, maybe we should do like a collab with like Downy or some shit like that. That would be dope. Do like a Downy collab on sneaker wipes. That'd be sick. Anyway, so got that, and so we started with the wipes. Depending on how these do, hopefully we can start working with them and doing more stuff with New Republic. But we'll see. So yeah, I'm excited about it. It's cool. It has my big ass head on the box, which was a point of contention. I was like, no one wants to see that, but they thought it was great. It would be great for marketing. So you get to look at me when you clean your shoes.
Hey, people want to see you, man. I mean, hey, I can text you anytime, and I'm still happy to see you. Like you just bring the vibe,
same. So. I appreciate that. It's just weird to look at every time I look at my face on there. It's like oh man. Well, all right, there he is.
Yeah,
big head and all, glasses and everything.
I mean, it's not on the same level, but we just had one of the guys in the Discord community, Ian, redid our like sneaker history podcast logos. So like all of us have little characters of ourselves, right? Like, I got my Giants hat on, a sneaker history hoodie, and I'm holding the burrito in my hand, and like it's spot on me, but it's also like it's still weird seeing like me in like that form, right? Like I don't think that ever changes.
Yeah, that's so weird. Like now I think about all those celebrities that sell like facial cleaner or some kind of lotion, and it's like a picture of them on the bottle like this. I'm like, how awkward that must feel now. Like this is even a real me. This is like Illustrator version of me, and it's still like awkward as hell. It's like, wow, that's all right. Well, buy sneaker cleaners. It's like clean your shoes with my face. So it is what it is, but it's exciting nonetheless, and I'm happy that they agreed to the collab and that they agreed to even put my name on it. So they could have just been like, "Oh, it's a great idea. Now we got our new fabric softener scent." You know what I mean? Yeah. So they'd agreed to work with me. So
not speaking from previous experience or anything, right?
Yeah.
We've never had any ideas taken before. Oh, nah.
No,
you do that.
Nope, never happened to me. Never happened to me. That's funny.
So we talked about this a little bit, but we got to figure out how to give away a box of these.
Oh, absolutely. Whatever you can come up with, however somebody wants to do it, we'll make sure that they can get them a box.
All right, so people can buy them on the New Republic site. I'll link to that.
Yes, it's shop New Republic. There is a New Republic, which is like a magazine. That has certain thoughts about certain things, so that's not the site where you buy them. Go to shop New Republic and just search sneaker wipes, and then my face will pop up, I guess.
Yeah.
just look for my face. Go to shop New Republic and look for my face, and then there you go.
We'll put a link in the description, and then we'll figure out the giveaway logistics. We'll put that in the description, so there'll be a link to buy them. And then I'll put a link, and we'll just put it on the Sneaker History site. So we'll figure that out, show you how to do that or whatnot.
Amazing.
They work pretty well, and they smell phenomenal. Because I did that same thing when I was a kid, right? Like, I mean, to be honest, this is not a bragging point. If you listen to this podcast or watch anything I do, I don't think you should have anywhere near as sneakers as I do. I think you should have 20 pairs, 50 pairs tops, and call it good. But there's a good possibility that I have shoes in the closet in storage that still have fabric softener stuffed in the toes. Because like that's exactly what I did. I was like, well, I'm not wearing these until they don't stink again. No, for real. Because some of them they hold the scent more than others. Oh man! Well, congrats. That's super dope, man. I mean, I know you've been very selective about all the things that you do with your name out there. So I'm glad it turned out so well, and it's awesome to see. It's awesome to see your face, sit next to me, even when we turn the camera off. So
Thank you, man. I appreciate that, and thank you for giving them a little bit of shine on the show.
Of course. Well, I guess last but not least, let everybody know how they can find you if they don't know where you are.
Okay. My name is Jacques Slade. I make videos on the YouTubes, on the Twitters, and on the TikToks. Sometimes I put them on Instagram as well. You can find me all over the internet at Kustoo. Again, that's on all the places: Bumble, Grindr, Farmers Love, all those places. I'm available. So look me up, and let's link up.
Cool, man. Well, appreciate you taking the time to chat with me. Thanks everybody for tuning in.
Sure.
We appreciate y'all. We'll catch you on the next episode. Peace.
Hey everyone, this is Nick again. Before you take off, do us a solid and head over to Apple Podcasts to leave us a review. Give us a rating on Spotify and Amazon Music, and make sure you're subscribed to our YouTube channel because we have even more video content coming soon. Speaking of new content, we have an amazing community of sneaker enthusiasts that hang out in our Sneaker History Discord on a daily basis. While sneakers is a connection point that brought us all together, we've all discovered countless shared passions that we have in common with each other. We recently launched a couple of new podcasts directly from our community. One of them is a Formula One podcast. If you're an F1 fan like me, the Exhaust Notes podcast is your weekly fix of Formula One fun. It's hosted by myself, Rohit Malhotra, and Todd Yates. New episodes drop every Tuesday. I've been wearing fitted hats for years and collecting my favorite teams since I was a little leaguer. It has been awesome to see so many new fans getting into fitteds in recent years. Crown and Stitch is our new talk show about fitted hats with Dexter, Keith, and myself, where we talk about fitted hats, snapbacks, throw in some obscure hats because we all kind of like some funky stuff once in a while, don't we? Copping, collecting, and so much more. New episodes drop every Wednesday. Hit the links in the show notes for this episode to give our new shows a listen, and be on the lookout for more new podcasts dropping soon. Last but not least, tell someone you like their kicks today. You never know how far a simple compliment can take you, and we all know how good it feels to have someone show their appreciation. Thank you all for the support, and we'll catch you on the next episode. Peace.